All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to another edition of Alpha. I'm your host, Alan Amoon, and I am joined here with Deshazar.
Here you go.
Am I saying that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Donnie and Tia, and they are with Mountaineer Marriage. And this segment, I wanted to really talk about marriage. And marriage, we could say in general by generations. I'm a Generation X. You guys are millennials, as well as just in terms of with African Americans or just marriage in general. So I looked at Mountaineer Marriage. It seems like it's and you guys keep me honest, coaching, marriage coaching.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a coaching service, but also a book as well.
Okay, and so maybe lead off with kind of a little bit about yourselves. How you guys met each other. You got married. I can tell you a little bit about myself. I was married for about 12 years. Didn't work out. Got a divorce. I have three beautiful daughters as a result of it. So it was still a beautiful thing. But I've looked at, oddly enough, it made me look at a lot of statistics when I was going through a divorce process that I was going through. And statistically, what I saw was that most marriages today end, I guess, within 4 or 5 years, about a 40 to 46% ratio. Most marriages end in that time, which is significantly different than, let's say, 1965, where more marriages sustained up to the 75 to 80% ratio. But it did give me kind of cause to pause and say, hey, what's going on? Why are we not as successful at it? And once again, from a national average, the national U.S. average sits about 46% as well. So you have what's kind of what I consider a decline in African American statistics, but also a decline in national statistics. So I guess I'll start off with that and hand it over to you guys. And if you can kind of do an introduction and then tell me a little more about Mountaineer Marriage or whatever other things that you're working on in terms of couples and relationships and marriage.
So my name is Tia Deshazar, and this is my husband, Donnell Deshazar. I actually am active duty military. I am 25 years old. Oftentimes I do get that I'm very wise for my age. So I don't feel like, age has a factor to do, with anything that we've been through. We've suffered a lot in our marriage over the last 4 years because we were ill-equipped with the knowledge that it takes to have a healthy and thriving relationship. So we kind of started Mountaineer Marriage to give people that comfort to be able to come to a place and be able to put everything on the table and, cause a discussion so we can figure out what steps need to take for them to, for one, get the knowledge about, how to have a healthy relationship and then see what other tools we can offer.
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Donald Deshazar, and last year is when we really decided to create this coaching service, and I really felt like I felt like that I had a huge part to play when it came to being a advocate, I guess, if you will, for marriages, which is funny because before I got married or even in the beginning of our marriage, I never would have thought I was going to be a marriage coach because, to be honest with you, I mean, it's a tough thing because when you actually take up a title such as that, I'm a very spiritual person, and I know that the adversary does not want marriages because having a healthy marriage is such I believe it's the connection is so strong spiritually that there is, a lot that can be done with that. And so I really didn't want to do it, but when I didn't think that I would do it, but when I had this idea to do that, I was like, you know what? I had so much drama in my marriage, and the time that I was going through something, I had no one to talk to. It gives me true pleasure to know that we can provide a way for people to come and be around other married couples. And I'm glad that we did this at this particular time, because what's special about what we do is we created an on-demand, well, not on-demand, but like an online service that allows marriages to come and be a part of a community. And we had that plan before COVID was a thing that we knew of. And so it came at the right time because if it was hard to be with other married people before, I can't imagine how difficult it is now.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I think that's why I'm so proud of the work that we're doing, because we're providing that for married couples to have that opportunity to come together. So
Right.
so yeah, that's my side as far as Mountain Marriage. And then I decided to write a book too. And the book Mountain Marriage is pretty much like the Bible we use. We give to all our clients, and we say, hey, read this book. We read it together. They can read it on their own, but either way, everything that we believe in marriage is in that book. So
Right. Yeah, just the basic principles. So it's a 10-step program that is
Let me ask you guys something before
Sure.
we get into that, if I may.
Okay.
So you guys touched on a couple points that was kind of going on in my mind, and what I was thinking is that I see a lot of things on the internet, Facebook, IG, social media, and it's almost like marriage is almost like taken, as a not amongst everyone, but some people. I mean, it's almost like people kind of almost take it comically, right? It doesn't seem the same level of seriousness is attached to marriage as it may have been 30, 40 years ago. And people will, put up memes that, they're kind of tongue in cheek about marriage and they almost reduce it down to really almost like a process of I got married and it's my divorce anniversary and so forth. It's almost like you quit a job or something like that. And so you guys had said something that made me think in terms of you mentioned the word tools, not having the right tools. You mentioned not having a community or people to talk to as you were going through your struggles in marriage. And, I think that says a lot, because when I was growing up, a lot of times with my parents' generation, they had their parents to talk to. And sometimes it was successful, sometimes it wasn't. But at least they had their parents, older uncles, grandparents, their religious institution, the church, or, whatever, because they tended to live closer. They tended to have stronger relationships. And that kind of watered down as it went into my generation. People drifted away from their community or their place of origin, so to speak. You lived in mixed communities with all different types of people, so you didn't have one particular cultural milieu where you could pull from, and or you didn't have that big mama, right? In some of the communities where you have that big mama who's always there to help work things out between people. So that institution, that village is kind of breaking down. So as you guys talk about tools and communication and community, maybe share some anecdotes in regards to those tools and the community that you had. I'm assuming you had to build, and some of those communication elements as well.
Okay, so when we decided to do the coaching, we took it from a one-on-one approach because we wanted to make sure that we gave our full attention to the couple that we were helping, because we know that, marriage is a very sensitive subject for a lot of people. But even then, even though we were transforming couples, we have 100% success rate, to date. Every couple that we work with has gone from, divorce being on the table to now they're actually back in a healthy relationship. But we felt unsatisfied in just helping one or two people at a time.
Right. So those are, but the tool, how did you find the tools? How did you find the tools that you're talking about, the tools? How did you build the community? I'm assuming that these are things that you had to kind of develop yourself, or were you able to duplicate some successful strategies? Was there an old man on the mountain who came down and said, hey, I got the recipe?
So we had a lot of wisdom, from what we learned from our own failures in past relationships. I was in a long-term relationship. He was also married prior to us getting married, as young as he is. So what we did is we actually went into it kind of blindly, honestly. We didn't know how we could help. We just knew we wanted to help. So every couple that we worked with gave us a new challenge. So then we started to build our repertoire of, different tools. So we came up with different sheets as we went on to, okay, this couple has a problem with boundaries. So I'm sure that hundreds of other couples have problems with setting setting boundaries. So now we did all the research to figure out, okay, what's the best possible way to honor your marriage and also set healthy boundaries. So we kind of took it from a standpoint of understanding each couple we were working with and the challenge that they faced, and being able to, dictate a program based on, their experiences and being able to help them. And then we also just did a lot of research, what are other couples struggling with? Finances is a big thing. So we started doing more education on finances. We started reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We started reading books like The Richest Man in Babylon. We started reading these books and we just really just immersed ourselves in knowledge, because we knew other people didn't have the time to, or they didn't know where to look. So we just literally spent about 6 months to immersing ourselves in everything that could help couples, finances, intimacy, different things like that.
Yeah, and not
So
only.
would you call it trial by fire?
Yeah, it was a lot of trial by fire, because honestly, it helped us look inside ourselves too, because a lot of the issues of couples that we had working with, it helped us to see like, okay, we might experience some of that as well. So then through us working out our own issues, we were like, okay, this could benefit this other couple as well. So yeah, it was definitely trial by fire, just kind of seeing what works and, how we could help benefit that person the most.